Good evening, Steve. How are you again today?
Hi, Bill. I am fantastic. Thank you very much for asking. How is the morning in Australia?
It's dark and cold, still early in the morning, and I see you're just out in the sunshine. And
Yeah, I'm sitting on the back deck. I'm making my dinner on my smoker. And, it's a rough life. It's about 23 degrees centigrade, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. That's all I can say.
let's give it 6 months, and we'll be perhaps swapping seats.
Yeah, we miss you. We'd love to have you back in Michigan, man.
Never know. One day I'll get back there, but not in the short
Well,
term.
last time you were here was fall, and they're switching the CWG conferences to spring in North America. So, hey, you could come out here and enjoy a different time of year.
Yeah, it'll be good once this COVID things get sorted out. At the moment, we can't even go more than 5K from our home.
I wear my mask constantly, so you cannot see me or get my emissions.
Yeah, yeah.
What are we going to talk about today, Phil?
I'll put a mask on you with the video edit afterwards if you like.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
Today, I think we've got a topic today because last time we started with a topic and then we didn't have a topic and we had a new topic and and you just derailed the whole thing. But I think we came up with a good presentation in the end, which we released recently. So today we've got a topic, I think.
And what would that be?
It's just a good question. I hadn't actually thought of what we call it in a concise line, if you like, but the general vibe of it started really with an email that I got.
Oh, that's the topic. Phil got an email.
Phil got an email. That's the topic. Okay, that'll be it. So I'll just quickly share my screen on that.
Well, and that email is an AVC related email. And how do I get from where I am now to the AVC? And we've had one small conversation about that. And this one gets a little more specific.
I got this email from a customer of mine who's used my training in the past. They're on the S4HANA journey, and the questions are being raised about the AVC and performance, and should we go to it? And if we go to it, how long is it going to take to go to it? And I've got these things over here that I'm not sure if they're supported or not. And, what do I do? What would be the pathway to go from that to this? All those sort of questions. So we're really getting into the nuts and bolts of what it means. And obviously we've had discussions about greenfield, brownfield, all those sorts of things. So, and I think in this case, client is probably going more brownfield, but looking at what needs to be done to do that. Just even working with standard LOVC functionality that they've had for however many years, they want to not necessarily lose that or need a good transition path. So it's really, now we're in the nuts and bolts. We're trying to make that decision to go, if you like.
Yeah, and one thing we need to stress to this gentleman is that, this is not really an AVC specific topic, because what he's asking is, currently they use classification as a selection condition, which is a very little known, obscure thing in the bill of materials, but it's extremely powerful. And SAP has disabled that in S4. Not just the AVC, also in LOVC. It's just you move to S4 and whatever you have in an existing model will work, but you cannot create a new classification with a selection condition because they've disabled the ability to tick the check mark to say, make this work.
And it's interesting because when I got that email, exactly what you said, like it's this piece of functionality that was like probably the first customer I've seen who actually used it because it is quite obscure in the VC world, and I was quite surprised. But typical SAP thing, if it can be done and you can do it, you do it. Whether or not down the track it gets appreciated or whatever.
Well, I understand where SAP is coming from, because they're trying to make a very clear distinction between high-level configuration and low-level configuration. And, you know, the class selection algorithm, so class 200, class 300, classification as a selection condition, is technically part of the bomb explosion and therefore part of low-level config. But so many people have gotten the usage of class type 300 and 200 in the bill of materials confused as a high-level config thing, that I get where SAP is going and saying, no, let's try to make this clear. Let's try to make it so that there's one best practice in how to do this. And since we only know of 2 customers, maybe, that use classification as a selection condition, we don't want to support it anymore. Yeah. I got no problem with that personally.
No, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with it, but in either case, from the customer's point of view, they're in this situation and they've got to move out of it.
Well, do they? Because, you know, I mean, you know, if they go to S4, whatever they have will still work. The question is, do they care if they have to use 2 techniques to do the same thing? Because, you know, if they don't want to move away from using classification as a selection condition, I would argue that if they're going brownfield anyway, there's a screen hack they could do to just change the display of the tick mark to be from no display to display again. Because the fields are all in the tables. I mean, SAP didn't change anything about the underlying methodology of how classification works. They just changed the screen.
That's probably true. Yeah, to that point, yeah, all they're really doing is stopping you adding new ones. In theory, as long as they haven't tweaked anything below that says, even if you do the screen hack, say, and allow it, they haven't done anything that stops it creating new ones, I suppose. But
remember, that's a hack. You know, what I'm talking about here is it's a hack, man. And for every hack, you got to support it long term. And that's the first question you got to answer. But hell, if you're going brownfield, you're supporting everything else that's hacks that you've already got. Personally, I would say, no, don't hack it. Go use a class type 200 instead, because it's the same damn thing. Yeah. And it's actually way more visible than classification as a selection condition.
And more powerful too. And I think it's a good point. Whatever your company is doing, if it's going brownfield or even greenfield, you've got to be across the improvement list that SAP put out as well.
Do you have a link to that or a screenshot or whatever?
Yeah, I've got a screenshot. So I'll just go back, share screen.
So for all of those of you watching, you know, SAP has put out an OSS note that basically tries to put in layman's terms the differences between AVC and LOVC. The issue is the people that wrote it aren't laymen. And I mean, they're extremely smart people, don't get me wrong. But in some cases, you know, they make the assumption that the person reading it understands machine code and the logic behind the configurator that was built 20 years ago and what they're building today. So my advice for people that are reading this particular improvement list, or the one that comes out in 2008, 2009, because it's updated every release, is if you're not understanding it, comment on our videos, send us emails, and we will help you understand what you're reading here.
So people know it's released through an OSS note, typically. There's a few side notes here and there around the improvement list as well. And sometimes there's comments about, you know, planned innovations and things like that.
You know, I give SAP a lot of credit on this improvement list because, you know, when I look at what they did with the IPC and, you know, they tried to do a similar thing with the IPC, this improvement list is way better. They've done a great job in articulating, here's what is happening, here's what you should do, here's what you shouldn't do. I just give the folks at SAP a ton of credit for trying to make the customer's life and the consultant's life as easy as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, the improvement list is about a 20-page document. It goes into quite a bit of detail. I suppose, to your point earlier, some areas you need to probably read carefully just to understand what they're telling you. But I suppose the biggest takeaway I've had about the AVC approach does go back to your point of the separation, dividing things into the high level and low level. It's very much more aligned in the AVC, and that it's causing SAP to think carefully about some of those areas, because what we expect to works differently or doesn't work at all currently. So they have got some, I think, things to consider in some of the planned improvements coming, I think.
Well, and from a customer perspective, to be honest with you, Phil, I'm still of the opinion that when you go to the AVC, you need a completely different mindset than you had with LOVC, because you have to think about, what does my customer want to see, and split that apart. And then how do I translate that to what my shop floor needs?
Yep.
And it's a completely different experience as to, oh crap, I can just throw all this into one model and not have to worry about it, because there's a whole lot of metadata elements that you now have to maintain. And how you maintain those metadata elements can make your life either really, really easy or really, really hard. But I mean, do we want to go back to the email and focus on the specific things within that email about, here's our recommendations as to what you should do, or what do you want to do here, Phil?
Well, yes, we can.
So if I can't stress this enough, read the improvement list. Read it, read it, read it, read it. It's important.
Yeah, so in this case, we're getting into the practicality. So as we said, like they're using the 001 class as a selection condition, and 88,000 entries that they have to address in some way, and plus some document management ones as well, by the looks of it. And so it's sort of just clear to me that there's still ways in the real environment as a customer to knowing, what is coming with S4HANA and AVC and closing those gaps. For people like us, we're a lot closer to what's going on, and these companies, they're just doing their day to day. And then someone says, oh yeah, we're going to go to S4HANA and the go live date's going to be February or something like that. What are you going to do about VC? I suppose that's where I'm coming from to some degree. And I suppose my only comment, or one of my comments on it, is they do need to look carefully at where they're getting their advice from too, to make sure they're getting the right advice and the right sources of information.
Yeah, people can say, why should I listen to a couple of old farts, one of whom sits around drinking beer all the day? He's talking about, LOVC and AVC and shit. But this person, I don't know if he's guy or girl, I don't know. But there's one statement in there that says, I know, I need to be more involved in the CWG. Darn tootin'. If you're a customer and you're not in the CWG and you're not actively engaging in the conferences and the customer councils, you're a frickin' fool. Sorry, you're a fool. There is so much good information as to what you can do, when you should do it, why you should do it, how you should do it in the CWG and the customer councils that, not to engage is about the dumbest thing you can do for your business right now if you use LOVC.
Yeah. I'll just flick back to the share screen again too, because exactly to your point. So I've taken a screenshot out of the CWG portal, blurred out everything that identifies people. But this is an example of a forum just around the advanced variant configuration, and these are just topics and things that people have posted, just asking detailed questions about AVC. And I see you've got a few in there scattered around our configurable opinions, Steve, as well.
Yeah, every now and then I still stick my hand in, even though I'm retired. Oh, by the way, for all you people that are, on the fence about should I join the CWG, it's free. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, so no, I agree. And just as a side point, where they've got the next conference coming up as well, and that's in I think it was early October.
Yep, in Berlin. They finally, after all these years, paid attention, and they flipped the conferences so that the fall conferences in Europe and the spring conferences in the US. So one of these days, that conference is going to be in Munich during Oktober Fest. So yes, you can go to a CWG conference with 10,000 drunk tourists and have a ball.
You might even go to that one.
Maybe. You never know. If it's next year and the stock market's good, yeah, maybe. We'll see.
I haven't registered for it yet, but I'm going to. But from what I've seen, it's a shortened conference, and call it an on-prem conference in Berlin. I think they've cut it back to a 2-day conference, and with reduced people, social distancing, whatever. I think there is a virtual component, and that is €99, same as the last virtual conference. So if you're in the US or Australia or New Zealand or India or wherever, you can still be involved. You can get access to the presentations, and I'm guessing that the access to the presentations will be more, call it social friendly, than the way we used to do presentations 2 or 3 years ago, which were static PowerPoints with, and you had to try and interpret what they were telling you sometimes. So most of them now are voiced in pictures of the people talking and interactive, sort of an interactive element. So worth doing.
Yeah, a big shout out to the folks on the board of the CWG, because they found out that Microsoft has finally, it allowed you to actually put recordings of yourself in a presentation. It's kind of cool. And, if you need another incentive to actually go to Berlin, it's at the Scandic Hotel, which is like literally stumbling distance from the House of 100 Beers. I mean, it's literally maybe 150, 200 meters from the House of 100 Beers. And the House of 100 Beers is where a certain gentleman from a company named Trilux, who shall remain nameless, and I danced in the tale of two tutus. Oh, many strange things happen in the House of 100 Beers.
Okay, that's a good interesting sales pitch for a variant configuration conference. But
well, the tutus were configurable, and they were configured by a couple of folks, one person from my company and 3 other people from other companies. So, but at any rate, go to the CWG. It's a good thing. So, what else about this particular email did you want to talk about, Phil?
Probably not too much more in this case, I think. I think we've just given a good little snapshot of, starting to see what people are doing now. I suppose what I'm noticing, which I hadn't really seen probably in the previous 2 years, is that companies are starting to get to the sharp end of S4HANA and AVC. Like, it's sort of moved on from being a dream back here to now it's coming into the reality time frame. And we've done presentations. You did a really good analysis of the maintenance period for ECC 6, and so companies will be pushed into that pathway as time goes on if they want to keep current. Yeah,
that's the only sad part about retiring when I did, is that to your point, things are starting to get real now. All this shit that I worked on for the past 10 years is actually now coming to fruition. Even though I'm not exceptionally happy with some of the things that are coming, I'm still exceptionally pleased with others that are coming. It would be nice to be engaged with either the company I work with or a different company, but nah, it was time for me to say bye-bye. I really like doing this type of thing with you. This is great. And hopefully we can continue doing this and pass some knowledge along. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, no, I think so. No, I just wanted this session just to give a quick snapshot. Maybe future sessions, what we should do, perhaps have configurable opinions and discuss BEAR for a while, and then just drop in little segments on VC. And
I'm good with that, dude.
Yeah.
For those sitting out there, tell us what the hell you want to hear. We ain't got a whole lot of comments back. And, if this stuff isn't interesting to you and it's not helpful to you, well, we'll talk about anything we damn well please.
Maybe that's an idea. We go completely off topic and talk about something completely different.
Well, Phil, thank you very much for the conversation, man. I greatly appreciate it. You know, I really enjoy talking to you, and I hope all the people out there in YouTube land find some value in this video and all of our other videos. Like, share, comment, point your customers to us. Tell us what the hell you want to hear. We're more than happy to talk about anything you want us to talk about. Hey, the U.S. November election's coming up. I got a lot of opinions on that one.
That sounds good. I agree. Cool. Okay, well, I'll let you get back to it.
All righty, guys. Take care. Have a good one, Phil.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.